Hello guys, welcome to my channel. You're welcome to Gift and Secrets. If this is your first time of stopping by, you're welcome. And please don't forget to subscribe to my channel so you can always get notification whenever I post, and give me a thumbs up. Thank you. So about this tutorial, it's going to be an overlapping top with a pencil slit. That's just it, with the puffy sleeves. So if it's something you really want to know, like you want to know how to do it, please kindly stay tuned. So let's get started. Thank you. So this is the style she wants me to show, and she actually brought this Duchess 2.5 yard. So after drafting my basic bodies, both the front and the back, we I cut it out. It was sent for me to cut out. I cut the front and the back out, and I place it on the paper. So whenever you are cutting, I folded my fabric on borders, like borders to borders, so that the stretchy effect won't have anything to affect the zip size. So after I finished cutting it, I cut the skirt, the lower part. So from the zip side, I bring it down and notch it. So the front, I notch the front side, and then since it's overlapping, I actually double replicated the front paper and then bring it down by 3 inches and cut it out. All right, so after cutting it out, I was able to after cutting the paper out, I was able to cut the back too. I also cut the back pattern too, so I can get the equal neck. All right, just like what you see me doing here. So I bring it down by 2 inches because the style is not really high. I bring it down from by 2 inches. So after cutting it, I cut out my fabric. I went down to sewing. So I'm actually for the skirt, I measured 10 inches down and sew it all the way, like 10 inches away for the zip, and sew it like to 18 inches so that the slit will be there. So for the front piece, I measure my dart, which is 5.5, and I sew 4.5. Make sure you minus 1 because of the apex. Minus 1 and sew it. Please take your time. Make sure you measure it just like the way you see me doing. After, I make sure I cut off my thread so that the work will be neat, my finishing will be neat. And then I do the same thing on the other side. The same thing there. I make sure I measured my dart. That's 4.5 inches. So from the paper is actually 5 inches. So I reduce 1 from it. So I make sure I cut the same thing as well. I sew the same thing rather. So after sewing, I always make sure I trim off my thread. So I bring the back bodies, and then make sure I join my half inch, which is the shoulder joining. Alright, after joining the half inch, I did the same thing on the other side. So always make sure you cut off your thread, please. That's very After joining the side, I went on to sew the seam allowance. So after sewing the seam, remember I put 1 inch. You can put more than 1 inch. And then I did the same thing on the other side. I made sure I sew the shoulder too. After sewing this shoulder, I went ahead to sew the side seam. All right, 1 inch, just like I did before. So please don't forget to subscribe to my channel, please, so I can always get recommended by YouTube, and so you can always get notifications whenever I post a new video. And if you like this video, please give me a thumbs up. Thank you. So after sewing both sides, I went ahead to use my bias. Remember, I trim off my bias one side. You know the bias is folded into two. I trim it off. The side that I trimmed off, that's where I sew. So actually did that so that the sewing won't be big. I don't just like it. So with this, if you do it like this, you see the difference. The sewing will be small, and just like what you see me doing, you continue sewing And when you're sewing the bias, please make sure you adjust it little by little while sewing. Don't just drag your bias. All right, so after I finish sewing it, I make sure I remove my thread and then sew it down from inside, just like you see me doing. Please don't forget to subscribe to my channel. Thank you so much. Thanks for your time. Thank you. I hope you learned from this video. So after I finished sewing that, I went ahead to cut the sleeves. After I've already measured the armhole is 7.5. I measure it from the paper, from the pattern paper. So from there, I measure a biceps. A biceps is 10, actually measure 12 inches, because it's not really fitted from the bicep. It's the flare, the fullness actually comes from the elbow. After doing that, I make sure I connect it. All right, I connect it the elbow to the length of the sleeve. Our sleeve length is 24, so I made it 26. After I finished doing that, I went ahead to weave it. You can see after I finished weaving it, I went ahead to pass the elastic so that I can get the fullness of the sleeves and then sew it properly. Actually put 1 inch for the sewing allowance, and that's what I'm doing right now. So after I finish doing that, I make sure I sew it. Always remove your thread, that's very important. Please don't forget to subscribe. Don't forget to give me a thumbs up so I can always get recommended by YouTube. Thank you. And after doing that, I went ahead to do the to weave it. After I finished weaving it, I iron it and open it, and finally she came for the fitting. You can see I told you she's not really fat. You can see how it is. Thank you.